Do you use tarot or oracle cards? Yes, I use tarot cards and I use oracle cards. I use these tools they're a part of my little spiritual toolkit. So I use a lot of spiritual tools, including cards. And when people ask me this question, one of the first things that I want to clean up in terms of the energy is to make sure that we have our energy systems cleared of any kind of religious templating. A lot of times religious templating comes into play because religions have been on the planet for a really long time. And religions were sort of set up as a system of control. And so when it comes to religion, any kind of use of spiritual tools is deemed of the devil, or it's deemed as something that will send you to hell, or you'll be channeling evil spirits. There's a lot of stories in religion around the use of spiritual tools. And a lot of times people take on that templating, even if they're not practicing religion anymore, they take on that templating even from their ancestry. This energy has been on the planet for a really long time. And so you have to understand that religions were set up as a system of control, and therefore they were going to control anything that connects you to your own guidance. So any kind of spiritual tool is really demonized in religion, because if you were able to connect with your spiritual guidance all by yourself, you wouldn't need an intermediary. And so religion would be useless. You wouldn't need religion at all. And so all of these spiritual tools were kind of demonized in religion as a way to keep you separate from your own guidance and having to rely on the intermediary within religions. So this template, it has to be cleared from you. Even if you think you don't have it, just do this cleansing. It's good for everybody to do. Make sure that we rid ourselves of any kind of religious templating that tells us or judges us that connecting to our spiritual guidance or using spiritual tools is in some way negative or bad for us. Okay, so that's the first thing I wanted to say. I use tarot cards and oracle cards sometimes on a daily basis. I use them a lot. They are wonderful complements in my practice. And this is a really important operating word, is the word complement. So you want to make sure that when you're using a spiritual tool, that spiritual tool is coming in to complement your own inner guidance and your own inner knowing. It's never coming in as a substitute for your own intuition and your own inner guidance. This is super important, because anytime, regardless of what spiritual tool I'm using, anytime I use a spiritual tool as a substitute for my own guidance, I'm giving away my power. And you never want to do that. So always keep in mind that regardless of what spiritual tool you use, and in this case we're talking about tarot cards and oracle cards, when you're using tarot cards, use them as a complement to your own inner guidance and never as a substitute. So that's another thing that's important. When it has to do with tarot cards, with oracle cards, the way that I like working with them is it's important to be very open-ended with tarot cards. So tarot cards work really well when you have open-ended questions, when you speak to the cards or you ask the cards for guidance without having any agenda behind it. So whenever you ask open-ended questions, so for example, if you really don't like your job and you'd like to find another one, you could do a tarot reading, but instead of saying, having really closed questions like, should I leave this job? Should I go find another one? Don't ask yes, no questions to tarot. I always caution people on doing this. Ask open-ended questions so that tarot can kind of reveal the energy to you. So you can say something like, speak to me a little bit more about my future job. Speak to me about a job that I should be looking for. And so this kind of open energy will now invite the tarot to be able to give you more answers and more accurate answers. So no yes, no questions, open-ended questions that are going to give you a little bit of more insight into what the cards have to say. And try not to keep your questions don't have an ulterior motive behind it. So be very unattached to whatever outcome, so that regardless of what the cards reveal to you, you're open to accepting the message. The more open you are, are when you approach tarot, the more open you are, the more answers you're going to get back. So that's the way that I love to work with tarot. But yeah, I got a ton of decks at home. I use a ton of them. When you go out and pick your tarot decks, work a lot by intuition. The images of the cards, do they pull you? How do you feel when you look at certain tarot decks or oracle card decks? That's how I pick my decks. I just look at them, I connect with them emotionally before I buy them. So I have a ton of those at home. So yes, I use tarot. Yes, I use oracle. They're wonderful spiritual instruments for you. They're great to complement your inner knowing. And have fun on purchasing your tarot decks.